Maya Collins stared at the credit card statement glowing on her laptop screen, her coffee growing cold in her hand. The numbers refused to make sense. A charge for $3,000 at Maison Lumière, the most exclusive French restaurant in the city. Another for $1,500 at a jewelry boutique she'd never heard of. Then she saw it. A luxury villa suite. $2,000 a night. Booked for 10 consecutive nights. 10. All while her husband, Lucas Hayes, was supposedly at a business conference in Seattle, sending her goodnight selfies from a generic hotel room and complaining about how boring corporate panels were. She refreshed the page, just in case it was some glitch, some banking error she could fix with a phone call. The charges stayed. Her fingers tightened around the mug. Her chest felt oddly hollow as she scrolled further down. Designer boutiques, champagne deliveries, a spa package for two, private car services. Everything screamed one ugly truth. This wasn't a business trip. This can't be right, Maya whispered to the empty sunlit living room of their hillside villa. But deep in her gut, she knew. The late-night calls Lucas had taken on the balcony, the new cologne, the way he'd been present in body but miles away in his eyes, the subtle flinch when she asked about kids, about their future. She'd chalked it up to stress, to pressure, to his workload as CFO at Vertex Dynamics. Because that's what you do when you love someone. You give them the benefit of the doubt until the doubt is all you have left. He'd told her the company was expanding into Europe, that he needed to travel more, that this Seattle conference was crucial for his career. She'd kissed him at the door, joked about bringing her back a snow globe, and watched him drive away in the car she had helped him pay for. Now her throat felt like sandpaper. Maya pushed back from the table. The chair legs scraped across the marble floor, the sound too loud in the quiet house. She walked down the hallway, past the curated gallery wall she'd designed, and into the bedroom. His side of the bed was still neatly made. His scent still clung to the pillow. For 8 years of marriage, Maya had never once gone through his things. She'd built her entire life on the assumption that she didn't need to. That trust shattered the moment she opened his dresser. Top drawer, socks, belts, cufflinks, the usual. Next, perfectly folded t-shirts, gym shorts, the workout clothes he said he was too busy to wear lately. Then the bottom drawer. Her hand hesitated on the handle. For one ridiculous second, she considered closing it, pretending none of this had happened, pretending she hadn't seen those charges, pretending her life was still what she thought it was. She pulled the drawer open, her breath snagged. Tucked beneath a stack of winter sweaters was a plain black folder. No label, no markings. Out of place in the drawer of a man who liked his world organized within an inch of its life. Maya lifted it out with numb fingers and sat on the edge of the bed. Inside were receipts, dozens of them, all from the past 6 months. Restaurants she'd never heard of. Hotels in cities Lucas swore were all business, nothing fun. Weekend charges at resorts she'd never visited. And then, 2 plane tickets to Miami booked 3 months ago. The departure date matched the weekend he'd told her he was flying to Boston to visit an old college friend. Her vision blurred. For a moment she thought she might pass out. The villa spun around her like a carousel. She forced herself to breathe. In, out. Not yet, she thought. You don't get to fall apart yet. She grabbed her phone, took photos of every receipt, every booking confirmation, digital backup, evidence, proof that she wasn't crazy. Back in the kitchen, she opened her laptop again and logged into their joint checking account. The numbers popped up, smug and indifferent. Then she saw the transfers. Small deposits trickling out to an account she didn't recognize. $500 here, $800 there. Even $200 tucked between utility payments and mortgage drafts. Spread out over the last year, quiet enough that during their monthly budget chats, it had all looked normal. Until you added it up. $20,000. Moved out of their shared life into somewhere else. Someone else. Her phone buzzed. Lucas. Miss you, baby. This conference is brutal without you. I'll call tonight. Love you. The casual cruelty of it made bile rise in her throat. She didn't respond. Instead, she scrolled to a contact she hadn't touched in years. Daniel Ortiz, private investigator. He'd helped her older brother during his messy divorce. Back then, Maya had rolled her eyes. insisted love required trust, not surveillance. She'd told her brother he was paranoid. Now she understood. She tapped the number. Ortiz investigation, a calm voice answered. This is Daniel. Hi, Maya said, surprised by how steady she sounded. My name is Maya Collins. My brother Aaron worked with you 5 years ago. He said if I ever needed help, I should call you. What's going on, Ms. Collins? She swallowed. The sunlight streaming through the glass doors felt harsh, revealing. My husband is supposed to be at a conference in Seattle, she said. I have credit card charges for a villa resort in Napa for 10 nights, in jewelry, and I need to know if he's there, who he's with. I need proof before I do anything. I can help with that, Daniel said without hesitation. I'll need his full name, phone number, recent photo, and the hotel information he gave you. Yes, I can send all of that. Once I have it, I'll start today. If he's at a resort with someone, I can usually confirm within 24 hours. Thank you. She hung up and stood in the middle of the spotless kitchen, phone still in her hand. The initial shock was already cooling into something else. Something sharper, cleaner, not rage, not yet. Something like resolve. She emailed Daniel everything. Lucas's corporate headshot, candid photos from their last vacation, the Seattle hotel reservation he'd forwarded to her with a smiley face. Then she waited. The villa was painfully quiet. It was beautiful. Every archway, every piece of furniture, every plant placed by her hand. She'd given up her graphic design career when Lucas got his big promotion, when they moved into this hillside property with the infinity pool and the city views. You don't have to work if you don't want to, he'd said, kissing her forehead. I've got us. So she'd redirected her talent into this house, into him, into their life, into a future that apparently included a secret girlfriend and a second address. Her gaze drifted to the framed wedding photo on the sideboard. In it, she wore a simple ivory dress, curls pinned back with tiny pearls, eyes shining. Lucas looked at her like she was his entire world. Was any of that real? She murmured. Her phone rang. Daniel. I've got something already, he said. You're going to want to sit down. Maya was already seated at the kitchen table, hands clenched around her mug. Tell me, your husband isn't in Seattle, Daniel said. He checked into Suncrest Ridge Resort in Napa Valley 3 nights ago. It's a couple's retreat, very private, very expensive, and he's not alone. Her heart thudded heavily. Who is she? Her name is Sienna Lowe, Daniel replied. Papers rustled on his end. I'm sending photos to your email now. Maya opened her laptop with trembling hands. The email appeared almost instantly. She clicked on the first attachment. There he was, Lucas, in a white linen shirt and designer sunglasses, walking hand in hand with a tall, willowy blonde in a yellow sundress. They were laughing, heads tilted toward each other like a scene out of an ad for a life she didn't recognize. The next photo, Lucas standing behind Sienna by the pool, rubbing sunscreen onto her bare shoulders, lips close to her ear. Another at dinner, his hand covering hers on the table, candles casting warm light over their faces. How long have you been married, Ms. Collins? Daniel's voice softened. 8 years, she said. Together for 10. I'm sorry, I know this is a lot. Do you want me to dig deeper? Find out how long this has been going on? If there are other women? Maya stared at the smiling strangers on her screen. Yes, she whispered. Then louder, stronger. Yes, I want everything, every lie, every hidden thing, all of it. I'll have a full report by tomorrow evening. After she hung up, Maya sat in silence. The betrayal was a physical thing, heavy on her chest. But beneath it, something colder began to crystallize. Anger, not the wild, explosive kind that smashes plates and screams into pillows. The surgical kind, the kind that makes lists. She opened her banking app again. Joint accounts. Joint credit cards. The villa deed. Investment portfolios. Lucas had liked to pretend it was all his. But the villa, purchased mostly with the inheritance her grandmother had left her when she died. The seed money Lucas never mentioned when he boasted about how hard he'd worked for everything. If you're listening to this as a story, here's the part where you might be tempted to yell, Leave him right now at your screen. Maya wasn't there yet, but she was done being blind. Her phone rang again. This time, a name that made her throat tighten in relief. Tasha Green, her best friend since college. The person who had seen her before the villa, before the promotions, before the polished dinner parties and curated Instagram feeds. Hey, I know Lucas is out of town, so I thought maybe we could do… Tasha, Maya cut in, her voice cracking. Can you come over now? A beat of silence. I'm on my way, Tasha said. Don't do anything until I get there. 20 minutes later, Tasha burst through the front door, still in her blazer and heels from the marketing firm she ran. Her eyes swept Maya's face once and her shoulders squared. Show me, she said. Maya turned the laptop toward her. Tasha leaned over, eyes narrowing at the photos of Lucas and Sienna. She scrolled through Daniel's email without asking, absorbing every detail. That lying trash bag, Tasha breathed. 10 days? He's been gone 10 days doing this? The investigator thinks it might be longer, Maya said hollowly. Months, maybe years. What are you going to do? Maya lifted her gaze to her friend, to the woman who had walked away from her own cheating boyfriend 5 years ago without looking back. I'm going to take everything he thinks belongs to him, Maya said quietly, and then I'm going to build the life I should have had without him. Tasha's lips curved into a slow, dangerous smile. Good, she said. Tell me how I can help. That night, Maya didn't sleep. She went through every financial document in the house. Credit card statements going back 3 years. Bank statements. Investment account summaries. Tax returns. Lucas's expense reports. The ones he'd casually left in a file drawer because, you hate numbers anyway, babe. She saw it all now. Cash withdrawals at odd hours. Charges coded as client entertainment that aligned perfectly with resort stays and high-end dinners. Money quietly draining from their shared future into Lucas's private fantasy. She photographed everything, scanned what she couldn't photograph, backed it up to a cloud drive Lucas didn't know existed. By the time the sun started leaking pale blue over the city, she had a digital war chest. Her phone buzzed. Lucas. Just finished dinner. The wine here is insane. Wish you were with me. Miss you. Maya actually laughed, a short, bitter sound that surprised even her. He was probably sitting on a private terrace with Sienna, sipping champagne, sending his wife a text like he was clocking in on some emotional time card. She typed back, fingers steady. Sounds nice. Enjoy yourself. Let him think she was still asleep in their marital bed, waiting for him to come home. Let him think she was still the woman who believed every word out of his mouth. It would make what came next easier. The next morning, she started calling divorce lawyers. She didn't cry while she did it. Tasha had given her a list. Maya interviewed 3 attorneys over video calls, sitting at her immaculate kitchen island like she wasn't quietly dismantling her own life. She chose Elena Foster, a sharp, composed woman in her 40s with steel in her eyes and a reputation for making cheating spouses wish they'd never picked up their phones. I've seen worse, Elena said after Maya laid out the details and forwarded Daniel's initial findings. But not by much. Marital funds used to finance an extended affair. Deception around travel and expenses. Potential corporate violations, too. What are my options? Maya asked. First, the villa. Elena clicked through the property records. It's in your name, purchased largely with your inheritance before his big promotion. That's strong. The renovations paid from joint accounts could be negotiable, but given what he's siphoned off over the last 2 years, we can argue he's already taken his share. And the accounts? We'll freeze and separate what we can. Given the documented pattern of unauthorized transfers, we also have leverage, not just in divorce court, but potentially criminally if we choose to go that route. Maya sat a little straighter. What about Lucas's corporate black card? She asked. It's technically his company card, but I'm listed as an authorized user. That's the card he used at the resort, at the restaurant, for the jewelry. If you're an authorized user, you can remove yourself, Elena said. You can't cancel the card outright, that's up to the company, but you can revoke your access. That sometimes triggers an internal review on their side. Would he be notified? Very likely. Maya's lips curved. Good, she said. Elena gave her a long, assessing look. You're not impulsive. she said. I like that. This will hurt, but it doesn't have to destroy you. If we're methodical, we can make sure you walk away protected. And he walks away facing consequences. Back at the villa, Maya started making an inventory. Not of memories, of assets. The abstract painting in the living room, hers purchased from a local artist the year before they got married. The espresso machine, gift from her parents. The mid-century dining table, paid from her inheritance when Lucas insisted they couldn't afford it right now. She walked from room to room taking photos, making notes. This wasn't about revenge. This was about not being left with nothing after giving someone everything. When she was done, she sat at the kitchen counter, picked up the phone, and called the credit card company. I'd like to remove myself as an authorized user from account ending in 4921, she said. Yes, Ms. Collins, the representative replied. May I ask why you're removing yourself? I no longer wish to be associated with the primary cardholder's expenses. I understand. Please note, any card bearing your name will be deactivated within the hour. The primary account holder will receive a notification of this change. Perfect, Maya said. As she hung up, she pictured Lucas at the villa in Napa, maybe ordering room service, maybe signing a tab at the pool bar, looking down at his phone as a notification flashed. Authorization removed. Card privileges changed. For the first time since she'd opened that statement, Maya felt something loosen in her chest. It wasn't joy. It wasn't even satisfaction. It was control, a small, hard-won piece of it. And this, she thought, was only the beginning. The next morning, Maya's phone rang just as she set a cup of coffee on the counter. She didn't need to check the screen to know who it was. Ms. Collins, Daniel said, I've got your report. Her stomach dipped. Already? I told you, if he's at a resort with someone, it doesn't take long. Do you want me to come by? Yes, she said. Come to the villa. Tasha arrived first. She'd taken the day off, showing up in jeans and a t-shirt, hair in a messy bun, eyes sharp. She'd brought croissants because, even in crisis, Tasha believed in carbs. How are you holding up? She asked. I don't know, Maya said honestly. I feel like I'm watching all of this happen to someone else. Tasha squeezed her shoulder. Then let's make sure that someone else walks out of this with everything she deserves. The doorbell rang. Daniel stood on the doorstep, holding a thick folder and a tablet bag. Up close, he looked exactly like the kind of man you'd want digging through your spouse's secrets. Tidy, calm, impossible to rattle. Ms. Collins, he greeted. And you must be Tasha. I'm the friend who's going to stop her from burning this place down before the lawyers are done, Tasha said dryly. Come in. They sat in the living room. The floor-to-ceiling windows flooded the space with morning sun, making the room look like a high-end magazine spread. Perfect. Controlled. Carefully staged. The three of them sat at the coffee table in the middle of it like they were about to play a board game instead of dismantle a marriage. I'm going to walk you through what I've found so far, Daniel said. Some of this will be hard to hear. If you need to take a break, say so. Just tell me, Maya said. He opened the folder and spread out photos. Suncrest Ridge Resort, from every flattering angle. Lucas and Sienna at the pool. Lucas and Sienna at dinner. Lucas and Sienna walking between the vines with wine glasses in hand, his palm pressed against the small of her back. This was yesterday, Daniel said, tapping a picture where Sienna was laughing, head thrown back. They booked the villa for 10 nights. They checked in 3 days ago under his name. Who is she? Maya asked. Her name is Sienna Lowe, he said. 30 years old. Works at Vertex Dynamics. Tasha swore under her breath. Of course she does. She's a senior financial analyst transferred to Lucas's division 2 years ago, Daniel continued. According to my sources at the company, they've been close for about that long. 2 years, Maya repeated. The number hit her like a wave. 2 anniversaries, 2 birthdays, 2 Christmases. All while he was holding someone else's hand under linen tablecloths. Daniel nodded. The Miami trip from 3 months ago? That was them too. I've got hotel records and security footage stills to back it up. He slid more papers across the table. Flight itineraries, hotel invoices, all with Lucas's name. All on dates Maya remembered as work trips and strategy retreats. There's more, he said. You mentioned seeing transfers out of your joint accounts. I traced what I could with publicly available data and some creative research. He laid out a chart. Dates, amounts, destination account, disguised behind a small LLC. Lucas set up a shell company 18 months ago. It pays rent on an upscale apartment downtown. Lease is in the LLC name. Based on the dates, he's been living part-time there for at least a year. Tasha let out a low whistle. He really built a second life. Maya stared at the chart. How much? She asked. From joint accounts and joint investments? Roughly $60,000 over the last 2 years, Daniel said matter-of-factly. Conservative estimate. Some withdrawals are cash, which is harder to track. 60,000. Maya's pulse roared in her ears. That money was supposed to be for our future, she said. He told me we needed to be careful. When I suggested we redo the guest room, said we had to think about kids, retirement. He was thinking about kids, Tasha muttered. Just not with you. Daniel's eyes were sympathetic but professional. One more thing, he said. I spoke to someone in HR at Vertex. Off the record, Lucas approved Sienna's last promotion. There are rumors that their relationship influenced it. If that's true, there could be serious consequences for him at work. Consequences. The word felt right. What happens if the company finds out? Maya asked. About the misuse of the corporate card, the villa, the dinners, the jewelry. None of that is business related. Most companies have strict policies about personal use of corporate card, Daniel said. If you can show consistent misuse and tie it to an undisclosed affair with a subordinate he promoted, at minimum, he'll be disciplined. He could be fired, possibly blacklisted in the industry for a while. Tasha looked at Maya. You thinking what I'm thinking? Maya nodded slowly. He didn't just cheat on me, she said. He stole from me. He used my inheritance, our accounts, and his company's money to finance it. I'm not going to jail or to the poorhouse because he thinks he's entitled to a second life. Daniel pushed a USB drive across the table. Everything I've found so far is on here. Time-stamped, documented. If you need me to testify, I will. Thank you, Maya said. You've done more than I expected. It's what you're paying me for, he replied. But his gaze softened. For what it's worth, you're handling this better than most. After he left, the villa felt different. It wasn't a home anymore. It was a crime scene. Every room held evidence of the years she'd spent pouring love and labor into a life someone else was quietly siphoning off. What's the play? Tasha asked. I already have Elena working on the divorce papers, Maya said. Next, I freeze the accounts, cancel the joint cards, and then I call Vertex. You're going to tell his company? Tasha's eyebrows shot up. He used their black card to pay for 10 nights at a couple's resort and a $3,000 dinner, Maya said evenly. While claiming it was a business trip, I'm not covering for him. He chose this. Okay, boss, Tasha said. Just promise me one thing. Oh, what? Whatever satisfaction you get from watching his world fall apart, you don't let it become your whole personality. Tasha's voice was gentle now. This ends with you living better, not just him living worse. Maya nodded. Deal, she said. Later that afternoon, she sat at the kitchen island with a folder of credit card statements in her phone on speaker. Vertex Corporate Services, this is Angela, a pleasant voice said. How can I help you? Hi, Angela, Maya said. My name is Maya Collins. I'm calling about the corporate card issued to Lucas Hayes, account ending in 4921. I was an authorized user until this morning. I removed myself. But I believe you should be aware of some misuse of company funds associated with this card. There was a beat of silence. Papers rustled on the other end. I'm going to transfer you to our compliance department, Angela said. Please hold. A new voice came on. Crisp, controlled. Not friendly, but not hostile. This is Karen Lee, Director of Compliance, she said. I understand you have concerns about expense misuse. Yes, Maya said, and gave her the dates, amounts, and locations. Suncrest Ridge Resort in Napa Valley for 10 nights at $2,000 per night. Charges at Maison Lumiere for a $3,000 dinner. Multiple luxury purchases, all billed while he was supposedly at a conference in Seattle. And you have documentation? I have statements, Maya said, and I'm sure your own system confirms the charges. I'm not calling because I'm vindictive. I'm calling because I'm not going to be dragged into an audit later and pretend I didn't know. We appreciate you bringing this to us, Karen said. I can't discuss internal actions, but I can assure you this will be investigated. Thank you, Maya said. She ended the call and exhaled slowly. One domino tipped. Time for the others. The next morning, she walked into the bank with Elena's neatly typed instructions in her bag and the kind of calm that only comes after a decision has already been made. I'd like to freeze activity on all joint accounts connected to me and convert them to individual accounts in my name only, she told the banker, an older woman with kind eyes and silver hair. The banker glanced at the papers, then at Maya's face, and seemed to understand more than Maya was saying. We can do that, she said softly. We'll need your signature on several forms. Please be aware that these actions will trigger notifications to the joint holder. That's fine, Maya said. Freeze them now. By 9:30, every joint account was frozen. Every shared credit card was canceled. Every automatic payment Lucas relied on from those accounts, car lease, gym membership, subscriptions, had quietly crashed. Maya walked out of the bank into bright morning sunlight, feeling like she'd just cut cords she hadn't realized were strangling her. He's going to freak out, Tasha said over the phone when Maya updated her. Like, full meltdown. He can take it up with his lawyer, Maya replied. I'm done playing accountant for his double life. That afternoon, she met with a realtor. The villa had once been her dream home. Now it was just a high-value asset with too many ghosts. Simone was in her 40s, with sharp cheekbones and sharper instincts. She walked through the house taking notes, heels clicking against the marble. This property is stunning, Simone said. Views, layout, finishes. In this market, you're looking at around $3.5 million, maybe more if we get multiple offers. How fast could we sell if I needed to be out quickly? Maya asked. With a house like this, if we price correctly and target the right buyers, you could have serious offers within a week. Cash buyers, maybe even sooner. What if I told you I want it listed Monday? Maya said. Showing starting next weekend? And I need to be out within 3 weeks. Simone paused, studying her. Going through a divorce? She asked bluntly. Yes. Then my job is to get you maximum value with minimum drama, Simone said. We can make Monday happen. Photos, staging consultation, the works. But I'll need your signature on the listing agreement today. An hour later, the papers were signed. Maya stood in the doorway after Simone left, looking out at the pool shimmering in the afternoon sun, the skyline glittering in the distance. This was supposed to be the forever house, she murmured. Now it would be someone else's fantasy. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number. She answered, expecting maybe another lawyer, maybe another bank representative. Instead, a familiar voice came through, tense and furious. Maya? What the hell is going on? Lucas snapped. My card got declined at lunch. The hotel said there's an issue with payment. Our joint account is frozen. What did you do? She almost smiled. Oh, she said calmly. Hi, Lucas. How's Seattle? A beat of silence. Maya, he said slowly. I can explain. You're in Napa, she cut in. At Suncrest Ridge, with Sienna. You can explain that? Another pause. She could almost hear his brain scrambling. Who told you that? He demanded. Your credit card. The bank. The investigator I hired. Take your pick. He exhaled sharply. You hired a PI? Seriously? This is insane. I just needed some space, that's all. A little break. 10 nights at a couple's resort is not space, Maya said. It's an affair, a long-standing one, funded with my inheritance, our joint accounts, and your employer's money. You're overreacting, he said. You're making a big deal out of something that doesn't have to be. I've already spoken to a lawyer, she said. That shut him up. I've also spoken to Vertex's compliance department, she continued. They know about the black card. They know about the charges. You did what? This isn't a misunderstanding, Lucas. This is fraud. On multiple levels. He lowered his voice, switching from outrage to coaxing. She wondered if he'd ever realized how obvious that tactic was. Look, baby, don't do anything you can't take back, he said. We can talk about this when I get home. We can go to therapy, reset, whatever you want. Just unfreeze the account so I can at least check out of the hotel. You'll have to figure that out on your own, Maya said. Oh, and one more thing. What? He snapped. The locks will be changed by the time you get back. You can't do that, he said. That house is as much mine as yours? The deed is in my name, she replied. Paid for with my grandmother's money. You live there because I let you. That ends now. Maya, she hung up. Her hands were shaking, but she didn't feel weak. She felt electric. Damn, Tasha said when Maya told her what happened. Remind me never to get on your bad side. Maya blew out a breath. It's like I'm watching myself from the outside, she admitted. I don't even feel like this is me. This is you, Tasha said gently. You just forgot for a while. That evening, Elena called. Papers are ready, she said. I can have them filed tomorrow. How would you like him served? Home? Work? Maya pictured Lucas striding through Vertex glass lobby, acting like he owned the place. Work, she said. Late afternoon. I want him to get the divorce papers right after his compliance meeting. There was a small, appreciative pause. I like the way you think, Elena said. I'll arrange it. Maya hung up and leaned back against the cool stone of the kitchen counter. In less than 72 hours, the life she thought she had collapsed. In the ruins, she was already building something new. The next day, she did something she hadn't done in years. She opened her old design portfolio. On her laptop, in a folder she hadn't clicked since before the wedding, lived the version of her that hadn't yet dimmed her light to fit into someone else's frame. Brand identities she'd crafted, campaigns she'd led, concepts that had once made her pulse race with the thrill of creating something from nothing. As she clicked through, memories surfaced. All the ways she'd compromised. All the times she'd said, it's okay, your job is more demanding, and pushed her own ambitions aside. What if, she thought, I just stopped doing that? If you've ever stayed in something long past its expiration date, you know this feeling. That moment when the grief and anger are suddenly joined by another emotion you don't expect. Possibility. Outside, the city lights glittered. Somewhere in Napa, a man was yelling at a hotel manager about a declined black card. Inside, in a hillside villa that no longer felt like a shared home, a woman quietly began to reclaim her life. And the next time Lucas called, at 4:12 p.m., his number flashing over and over, Maya watched the screen vibrate on the counter. Then she pressed block. He could talk to her lawyer. She was done talking to him. By Friday, the storm hit. Maya was at Elena's downtown office, signing another stack of documents, when her phone started vibrating so much it almost slid off the table. She ignored it. Elena glanced down at the screen, caught the caller ID, and smiled without humor. I see Mr. Hayes has discovered the joy of being served at work, she said. Our process server texted me. Compliance had him in a meeting when the messenger walked in with the envelope. Perfect timing. Maya pictured it. The conference room, the HR rep, the compliance director, Lucas in his tailored suit pretending everything was under control while the walls quietly shifted. A tiny, vicious part of her enjoyed the image. That's petty, she said aloud. It's human, Elena replied. And after what he's done, you're allowed a little of that. An hour later, on her way back to the villa, it got worse. 30 missed calls, text after text, piling on top of each other as notifications. Maya called me. What did you do? They suspended me. Are you insane? We could have fixed this privately. You're overreacting. This is cruel. Please just talk to me. She tossed the phone on the passenger seat and drove in silence, the city blurring past. By the time she pulled into the driveway, a sleek black car was already there. Lucas stood on the front steps, jaw clenched, tie loosened, hair disheveled in a way she'd never seen outside a bedroom. He moved toward her as she stepped out of her car. Maya, we need to talk, he said. She locked the car with a click and walked past him, key already in hand. You've already been served, she said. There's nothing left to discuss. He followed her to the door, or tried to. The deadbolt turned. The new lock clicked open. When did you change the locks? He demanded. Yesterday. You can't do that. She stepped inside and closed the door in his face, leaving the security chain in place. His voice came muffled through the wood. Maya, open this door. We are not doing this like some reality TV stunt. I'm your husband. I live here. Lived, she said. Past tense. You're being unreasonable. I made a mistake. She laughed. 10 nights in Napa, a year-long secret apartment, $60,000 of stolen money. That's not a mistake, Lucas. That's a life you chose. Just 5 minutes, he pleaded. Face to face, no lawyers, we can fix this. She took a slow breath. There was a time when those words, we can fix this, would have dissolved whatever anger she felt, when she would have opened the door and convinced herself that love could absorb anything. That time had passed. I saw the photos, she said. You at the pool, you at dinner, you rubbing sunscreen on your employee's shoulders with your wedding ring on your hand. There's nothing to fix. You weren't supposed to find out like this, he blurted. I was going to tell you, I swear, after the conference. I just needed to figure out how. You mean you needed to figure out how to keep the villa, the money, and your job while trading me in for someone 10 years younger? She said. Get off my porch, Lucas, or I'm calling the police. You wouldn't. She picked up her phone. 9 to 1. Fine, he snapped. Fine, I'm going. But you can't sell this house without my consent. I'll fight you on everything. You won't get a cent. She smiled. Cold, precise. The deed is in my name, she said. We both know who paid the down payment. If you fight me, we open your little shell company and your expense reports in front of a judge. How do you think that plays? He didn't answer. He just glared at the door, breathing hard, hands on his hips. The picture of a man who'd spent his whole life believing the rules didn't apply to him and was finally getting a different memo. He stomped down the steps and climbed into his car. He didn't drive away. He just sat there, engine idling, watching the house. Maya let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding and slid down the wall until she was sitting on the floor, back against the door. Her heart hammered. Her palms were damp. That was intense, she mumbled to herself. Her phone buzzed. From Tasha. Did he show up? Maya typed back. He's outside right now, sulking in his car like a teenager. I told him to talk to Elna. Tasha replied instantly. Want me to come over? I'll bring popcorn. We can watch the Lucas Meltdown show through the curtains. Maya actually smiled. No, she wrote. Simone's bringing buyers tomorrow. If he's still parked outside acting like this, that's punishment enough. Saturday morning, Simone arrived with a polished couple in their early 30s, the Pattersons. She'd briefed them ahead of time about the ongoing personal situation and assured them it wouldn't affect the sale. Maya opened the door with a bright, practiced smile. Come in, she said. Please ignore the man in the driveway. He's part of the reason I'm selling. The Pattersons exchanged a quick glance but followed Simone inside, charmed by the vaulted ceilings and the view. Lucas got out of his car, incredulous. What is this? He demanded. Who are these people? Potential buyers, Maya said. Simone, this is Lucas. He doesn't live here anymore, but he hasn't realized it yet. Simone, consummate professional, nodded politely and steered the Pattersons toward the living room. This is the main entertaining space, she said, smoothly stepping over the tension. Open plan, full of natural light. Lucas sputtered. You can't do this, Maya. We haven't even divided the assets. I want half this house. You already took your half, she said quietly. You spent it on hotel suites and spa packages. I have the receipts. His face went red. He retreated to the driveway, hovering near his car like a guard dog, while Simone walked the couple through the home Maya had once imagined raising children in. The Pattersons loved everything. The kitchen, the primary suite with its balcony, the backyard with the infinity pool and fire pit, the small studio off the pool that could be an office or nursery. We'd like to make an offer, Mr. Patterson said at the end of the tour. Full asking price, cash, 30-day close. I need 15, Maya said automatically. We can make that work, he said. Our attorney can have a contract drawn up Monday morning. After they left, 2 more sets of buyers came through. One lowballed. One didn't like the layout. But it didn't matter. By Monday afternoon, the Pattersons' offer was signed. The villa, her villa, was sold. That same afternoon, Elena called. Vertex moved quickly, she said. Lucas has been suspended pending a full investigation into expense misuse and inappropriate relationship with a subordinate he directly promoted. How's he taking it? Maya asked. I hear his lawyer is frantic, Elena said dryly. Speaking of, he called me this morning. He wants to negotiate. Of course he does, Maya said. He initially requested half the equity from the villa and a share of your inheritance, Elena continued. I sent him the documentation of the shell company, the apartment lease, and the $60,000 he siphoned from joint assets. plus the PI report and your bank records. I also hired a forensic accountant. They found an additional 30,000 in creative transfers over the years. 90,000? Maya said. 90, Elena confirmed. I told his lawyer we were prepared to pursue criminal charges for fraud and theft, and that given the corporate investigation, the DA might be interested in a pattern. There was a small pause. How fast did he fold? Maya asked. Almost immediately, Elena said. He's now willing to sign off on a settlement. No claim to the villa proceeds. No claim to your inheritance. He keeps his personal accounts, his car, and whatever furniture is left when you move out. In exchange, you agree not to press criminal charges, and he repays the 90,000 in installments. How much? Maya asked. He proposed 5,000 a month, Elena said. At that rate, it will take a year and a half. If he misses a payment, we reserve the right to pursue legal action. Maya stared out the window. Construction cranes dotted the skyline. The city never stopped rebuilding itself. Maybe people didn't either. Fine, she said. Let him sit with those monthly reminders of what he did. You're sure? Elena asked. Yes, I don't need to completely annihilate him. I just need him out of my life with as little collateral damage to me as possible. Understood, Elena said. The court date for finalizing the divorce is 8 weeks out. Until then, live your life. I'll handle the ugly parts. Live your life. Easier said than done. But she was trying. Maya signed the closing papers on the villa sitting at Simone's conference table with a pen that felt heavier than it should. The Pattersons beamed. They were newlyweds, glowing with the kind of naive hope Maya remembered. We can feel the love in this house, Mrs. Patterson said. Thank you for letting us buy it. Maya smiled. I hope you fill it with better memories than I did, she said quietly. The sale left her with $7 million after the mortgage and fees, more than enough to start over. She rented a furnished apartment downtown on a 6-month lease. White walls, big windows, no history. No ghosts, she told Tasha as they unpacked a few boxes. Just good lighting, Tasha said, opening the blinds. Look at this. Perfect for your art. My what? Maya asked. Don't play, Tasha said. I've seen your old portfolio. We're not letting you crawl back into someone else's shadow. You're getting a job. A good one. Somewhere that remembers who you used to be. Who I used to be, Maya repeated. That phrase stuck in her head. 2 weeks later, she was sitting across from Richard Kane, the owner of a boutique branding agency she'd interned at right out of college. He had more gray in his hair now, but his eyes were just as sharp. I heard you're back on the market, he said, flipping through her emailed portfolio on a tablet. Married name threw me off at first. Collins. I remember you as Maya Pierce, the kid who stayed late and rewrote entire campaigns just because you thought you could make them better. That sounds like me, she said. I've got a senior designer role open, Richard said. Maybe creative director eventually. It's demanding, fast-paced, no room for passengers. You up for that? For a second, panic fluttered in her chest. She'd been out of the game for years. Had the industry moved on without her? But then she thought about the last few months. The spreadsheets, the strategy, the precision with which she'd dismantled a life someone else had tried to control. If I can rebuild my entire existence in 8 weeks, she thought, I can handle client briefs. Yes, she said. I'm up for it. Good, Richard said. You start Monday. The first week nearly killed her. She'd forgotten the pace of agency life. Back-to-back meetings, tight deadlines, clients who didn't know what they wanted until they saw it, and then wanted the opposite. But she'd also forgotten something else. How alive she felt when she was creating. On Thursday, she stayed until 11, crafting a pitch deck for a hotel chain rebrand. Lines, colors, typography. Each decision like a language she'd once been fluent in and was relearning sentence by sentence. When she finally shut down her computer, one of the junior designers, Sam, looked up from his screen. You know, he said, Richard wasn't kidding when he said you'd change things around here. You've been here 4 days and everyone's already tweaking their work a little harder. That good or bad? She asked. He grinned. Good, terrifying, but good. Weeks blurred into months. Maya's days filled with mood boards and client calls instead of legal documents and bank statements. She still had to deal with the divorce, with Lucas's lawyer emailing periodic updates, with Elena asking for signatures, But those things were no longer the center of her universe. They were just items on a to-do list. She started seeing a therapist, Dr. Harper, on Tasha's insistence. I don't want to become one of those people who let their ex live rent-free in their head, Maya had said. That's smart, Dr. Harper replied in their first session. Tell me about who you were before you met Lucas. That question hurt more than anything else. Before Lucas, she'd been vibrant, creative, hungry. She'd had plans, her own agency by 30, maybe teaching at a design school one day. Then life had veered. Why did you give it up? Dr. Harper asked. Because that's what you do when you love someone, Maya said automatically. You compromise. And did he compromise for you? Dr. Harper asked. Maya thought about all the nights she'd eaten dinner alone while he answered urgent emails. All the times he'd called her spoiled for wanting to use her own inheritance for something he considered unnecessary. No, she said finally. He didn't. Then it wasn't compromise, and Dr. Harper said. It was sacrifice. On one side. Maya left that session feeling both raw and strangely relieved. Naming the imbalance didn't fix it, but it stopped it from swallowing her whole. By the time the villa closed, by the time she'd been at the agency 3 months, something new was growing in the space Lucas used to occupy in her head. Not another man, not yet. A version of herself who was tired of apologizing for wanting more. On a warm Thursday evening, Richard called her into his office. He gestured to the hotel chain rebrand work spread out on his desk. This is exceptional, he said. Clients over the moon. The team loves working under you. I'm bumping you to creative director. I've only been here 3 months, she said, stunned. Talent's talent, he said with a shrug. I'd rather promote the right person fast than lose them to someone else. So, you in. She thought of Lucas, who'd used promotions as bargaining chips in his affairs, and of herself once upon a time, who'd believed she had to shrink to make room for someone else's rise. Yes, she said, I'm in. That night, she walked into her tiny downtown apartment, dropped her bag, and burst into tears for the first time in weeks. Not because she was sad, because she was finally starting to believe she might be okay. The divorce hearing was anticlimactic. After everything, the discovery, the investigation, the frozen accounts, the sale of the villa, the corporate suspension, you'd think it would end in some cinematic showdown. Instead, it took 19 minutes in a beige courtroom. Maya wore a dark green suit and her grandmother's earrings. Elena sat beside her, calm and composed. On the other side of the aisle, Lucas looked smaller somehow, thinner, hair off, suit hanging looser. The judge glanced through the settlement papers. Mr. Hayes, Ms. Collins, she said, you both understand the terms of this agreement? You're both entering into it willingly? Yes, Your Honor, Maya said. Lucas hesitated, then mumbled, yes. Then this court grants the dissolution of your marriage, the judge said. You are both legally divorced. Just like that, a stamp, a signature, a life divided into before and after. Outside the courthouse, Lucas approached her. Maya, he said, can we talk? Just for a minute? She glanced at Elena, who gave a small nod. Your choice. 2 minutes, Maya said. They stepped aside under the shade of a concrete column. People came and went, oblivious to the moment playing out a few feet away. Lucas started, then stopped. His eyes were red-rimmed. He looked exhausted. I wanted to say I'm sorry, really sorry, for everything. She believed he was sorry, not necessarily for cheating, not for the lying, but for the consequences, for the job he'd lost, the money, the status. I'm not interested in your apology, she said. I'm interested in not having you in my life anymore. He flinched. I loved you, he said. Even when I was being an idiot, I did love you. Then your definition of love and mine are very different, she replied. I hope you figure that out before you hurt someone else. She turned to go. Maya, he called after her, do you think you'll ever forgive me? She paused. Forgiveness. The word used to feel like a moral obligation. Now it felt like a choice. I don't know, she said. Maybe someday I'll look back and feel nothing at all. That's as close to forgiveness as you're going to get. She walked away without looking back. That night, Tasha hosted what she called a freedom party in her loft. There was no burning of wedding photos or trashing of suits, just wine, loud music, and a circle of people who'd held Maya up when she couldn't stand herself. To Maya, Tasha toasted, holding up a glass. Haki, who traded in a liar and a thief for peace, power, and her own damn agency. Everyone cheered. Maya laughed, cheeks flushed, heart surprisingly light. If you've never been through something like this, it's easy to imagine that the day the judge says divorced, everything magically resets. It doesn't. There were still aftershocks. Nights when she woke up convinced she'd heard Lucas's key in the door. Mornings when she instinctively checked her phone for his "on my way home" text. But those moments grew farther apart. Work helped. As creative director, Maya led big projects, pitched to big clients, mentored younger designers. She stayed late because she wanted to, not because she had nowhere else to put her energy. On weekends, she picked up her camera again. At first, it was just aimless shooting, city corners, reflections in puddles, strangers at bus stops. Then she started to see patterns. Lonely park benches at dusk, half-finished murals, empty coffee cups on ledges, images of transition. She printed a few and taped them on her apartment wall. Tasha walked in one day and stopped cold. "You need to show these," she said. "Like, in a gallery. These are insane." "You're biased," Maya said. "Biased and correct," Tasha said. "I have a client who runs a small gallery. I'm sending her your stuff." A month later, Maya found herself standing in a clean white space, looking at her own work framed on the walls. Her first solo show. The series was called Interim, photographs of moments between endings and beginnings. People came, strangers, designers from the agency, clients. Tasha brought half her contact list. Richard showed up with flowers. "These feel like breathing," one woman told her, standing in front of a photo of an empty train platform at dawn. "Like the moment before you decide which direction to go." Maya smiled. "That's exactly what I wanted," she said. 5 pieces sold that night. She went home afterwards alone, took off her shoes and stood in the middle of her small living room, surrounded by bare toes and possibilities. For the first time since everything exploded, she didn't feel like she was just surviving. She felt like she was building. Time moved. 6 months. A year. The $90,000 repayments trickled in like apologetic raindrops. She didn't track them closely. Elena's office did. To Maya, they were just background noise. One day, Elena called. "Lucas is filing for bankruptcy," she said. "The repayment plan is complicating things. Legally, you can insist he continue, or you can release the debt in the filing. You're well within your rights to do the former." Maya thought about it. She didn't need the money. The villa sale, her salary, and now her growing reputation as an artist had put her in a stable position. Keeping him tethered to her through court-ordered monthly payments felt heavy. "Let it go," she said. "You're sure?" "Yeah," she said. "Consider it my version of forgiveness. Or at least, closure. I don't want his name in my inbox anymore." After she hung up, she sat on her balcony and watched the city lights flicker on. She didn't feel noble. She didn't feel like a saint. She just felt done. Around that time, someone new slipped into her life. Not in some dramatic, love-at-first-sight scene. In a much quieter way. At a panel discussion on art and storytelling and brand design, she asked a question about authenticity in advertising. Afterwards, a man around her age approached her. "That was a good question," he said. "Most people in this industry are afraid to say the word authenticity without air quotes." He introduced himself as Adrian Wells, a professor who taught visual communication at a nearby university. They talked for 10 minutes about design, clients, and the weird line between art and marketing. He asked if she wanted to join a small critique group he ran once a month for working creatives. "Low pressure," he said. "No networking, just real feedback. We drink terrible coffee and stare at each other's work until someone cries." She laughed. "I'm in," she said. The group became a regular fixture of her month. 4 designers, a photographer, an illustrator, and Adrian. They met in a studio with paint-splattered floors and mismatched chairs. They pulled each other's work apart and put it back together better. Adrian was kind but incisive. He never let Maya downplay her talent. He also never pushed when she avoided personal questions. Over time, they migrated from group critique to one-on-one coffees, then walks, then the occasional movie. He knew she'd been married, knew she was divorced, knew enough to understand why she flinched at certain patterns. He never rushed her. On a cool evening walking home from a gallery opening, he stopped on the bridge overlooking the river. "Can I ask you something without scaring you off, Numan?" he said. "Depends," she replied. "I like you," Adrian said simply. "I like your mind, your work, the way you look at the world. I'd like to date you properly, but only if you're ready. If you're not, I'm still happy to be your friend and pretend I never said this." Her heart stuttered. Old habits whispered, "Say yes. Fill the space. Don't be alone." New ones said, "Check in with yourself first." "I'm not ready for something that consumes my life," she said honestly. "I'm not going to merge bank accounts, move in after 6 months, or give up my weekends to sit at someone else's family dinners and pretend I'm fine." He smiled. "Good," he said, "because I'm not offering that. I have my own life I'm pretty attached to. I'm offering slow, honest, two whole people who like each other and see what happens." Slow, honest. That she could consider. "Okay," she said, "we can try that." Dating as a different person felt strange. She set boundaries and actually kept them. She said no when she meant no. She didn't apologize for her job, her art, her therapy appointments, and Adrian didn't punish her for it. When she canceled a date because a client pitch had gone sideways, he said, "Totally understand. Want to debrief over coffee tomorrow instead?" When she freaked out internally because he left his jacket at her place one night, she told him, "It makes me nervous," she said. "It feels like encroachment." "Then I'll take it home," he said and did. No sulking, no guilt tripping, just respect. One afternoon, almost 2 years after the divorce, Dr. Harper asked her, "Do you still think about Lucas?" "Sometimes," Maya admitted, "but not with anger. More like watching an old movie of someone else's life. It's blurry." "That's called healing," Dr. Harper said. "You didn't get here by accident. You chose it, over and over." Chose. That word had become the backbone of Maya's new life. She'd chosen to leave, chosen to sell the villa, chosen to rebuild her career, chosen to show her art, chosen to let someone new and slowly, on her own terms. When Richard eventually retired and offered her a chance to buy into the agency, she considered it for all of 5 minutes before realizing something. She didn't just want a piece of someone else's company. She wanted something that was entirely hers. Contact lists, clients who trusted her, a reputation, savings. All the things she'd once abandoned, she now had in abundance. At 36, she opened her own studio. Collins Studio Commerce small team. Big ambition. First clients came from Richard's referrals, then from word of mouth. They specialized in brands that wanted authenticity without the air quotes, stories without the lies. In the new studio's conference room, there was a framed photo on the wall, not of her old life, of a city street at dawn, empty and full of potential at the same time. From her interim series, clients always asked about it. "That was taken the year I rebuilt everything," she'd say, "when I realized it was better to stand alone on an empty platform than run onto the wrong train just because everyone else was boarding." People laughed, but the ones who understood really understood. One afternoon, years after that first credit card statement nearly shattered her, Maya sat alone in her office, light streaming in through tall windows. Her phone buzzed. "Tasha, boarding a plane. Remember when you thought your life was over? Now you're the one I call for career advice. I hate you and love you. See you in 2 days. Adrian." "Got the grant. Celebratory dinner later? Your choice of restaurant. No corporate expense accounts involved, promise." Gallery owner. "We'd love to feature a new series next spring. Are you working on anything?" She put the phone down and looked around. A woman who had once been defined by her husband's promotion and her address now had her own company, her own art, her own friendships, her own love story, quiet and steady instead of flashy and fake, her own money, her own peace. Later that night, standing on her balcony, city lights glittering below, She thought of the girl at the kitchen table all those years ago, staring at a credit card statement with shaking hands. Back then, she'd believed her value was tied up in being chosen by someone else. Now she understood something radically simple and impossibly hard. The most powerful thing she'd ever done was choose herself. If you're listening to this and wondering what you'd do if you opened your banking app and saw what Maya saw, here's the truth nobody wants to say. You might freeze. You might bargain. You might try to forgive the unforgivable because starting over is terrifying. But if you decide, like Maya did, that no villa, no black card, no shared last name is worth more than your self-respect, then yes, it will hurt. It will break you open. And on the other side, if you keep choosing yourself one small, stubborn day at a time, you might just end up with a life that's better than the one you were so afraid to lose. Maya raised her glass, sparkling water this time, not champagne, to the dark window and her own reflection. To second chances, she murmured, and to never again settling for someone who thinks my worth is a line item on their statement. The city hummed beneath her, and somewhere far outside the orbit of her new life, a man fumbled with new locks he didn't own anymore, wondering how he'd lost everything in just 10 days. The real answer? He hadn't. It had taken him years of small, selfish choices. It had taken her one big, terrifying one. She chose herself, and that changed everything.